charts and join in the discussion with our hosts Jason Graystone and Akil Stokes as they share insights, opinions and expertise on all things trading. Grab a coffee, pull up a chair and join the Trader Coffee Break.
Oh, looks like it's running.
Well. Welcome to the Trader Coffee Break, guys. I hope you're doing well. Hope you had a nice week so far. This is another episode of where we get away from the charts for 20 minutes and talk about all things trading. The things that no one wants to talk about in trading. Everyone wants to talk about, but no one wants to talk about, if you know what I mean. Everyone wants to know, but no one wants to talk about.
There we go, stumbling into it this week.
yeah, right. It shocked me because the technology worked. Usually I expect that not to work, but hope you're all doing well. How are you, Akil?
I'm doing good. Just got done analyzing the market. It's been a wacky week with it's been a busier than normal kind of fundamental week, I guess, with the non-farms being pushed back a week, and then you got GDP coming out on different days. It's been a wacky one, but that's what we expect from the markets if we learned anything.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been there was a lot of movement yesterday, and then obviously non-farms this Friday as well. So yeah, it's one of those weeks. So today we're going to be talking about reading price, and obviously it's a massive topic and a very, very important topic as well, because depending on what type of trader you are, it doesn't really matter. You know, it's all down to reading price. We're coming from it at it from a technical standpoint, but you are understanding supply and demand, and you're reading how price moves. The whole candlestick was formed based on the open price of the day and the low price of the day and the high and the close price of the day. So it's all being able to read price. And from a technical trading perspective, it's key that you understand this stuff, because it can open up a world of opportunity. And if you can see where that opportunity lies, that's when you can really hone in and develop your edge. So if you're with us in the chat, let us know. If you're a technical trader, or you're a price action, your price action trader, or you're a different type of trader, let us know in the chat. Where do we start? I mean,
well, I would say this. I think it reminds you of something you said. I think it was either last week or the week before. I forgot who you quoted, but you talked about one of the famous traders out there, investors out there, who just loves, who obsesses over data. I think we were talking a little bit about, or answering a question about back testing, and talking about the benefit of back testing is not just the repetitions, but it's the amount of data you can get. And, the more numbers you have, the better. The more data you have, the more tendencies you can find, and the more relationships you can make.
Yeah.
And I think people lose sight of price action as being something different than data. I think most people out there, when they talk about price action, it's always like, I got a price action strategy, or I'm just using candlesticks to do this strategy, and everything is the strategy. And we forget the essence of what price actually is. And like you mentioned, price is the information. It is the open, if you're using a traditional candlestick or whatever, it's the open, close, high, low. It is everything that happened within a given session in the market. And that given session could be a daily period. It could be a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 minute period. It doesn't matter. The fact is that on a price chart, we have the information in front of us of every single thing that happened in the market during that period. And it's, if you know how to use it correctly, it is so much information at our hands, and it's information that is going to be beneficial no matter what type of trader you are. If you are a classic chartist, where you're trading classical patterns, head and shoulders and flags and breakouts, double tops, double bottoms, it's important. If you're an advanced pattern trader trading ratio-based patterns, it's important. If you're a indicator trader, right, it's important. Even the fundamental traders out there, when I used to be a fundamental trader, investor in the market, yes, I didn't dig inside the candlesticks like I do now. And you know, I didn't know about it, so I probably would have. But even looking at the highs and the lows and the tendencies of price on a daily basis helped me in my investment decisions, because I can see what people are doing, how people valued certain news that came out, or certain releases. And I think we lose sight too easily of how much information we have in front of us.
Yeah.
And I think many people don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, 100%. And also they develop this kind of overwhelm trying to make, they make trading more complex than it really needs to be. But understanding what you've just said, that there is opportunities in like literally simple price action patterns, just taking that for what it is, it means that you're able to approach it in a way where, you know, you can take it for what it is. You can build on little brick by brick to develop something really powerful, rather than think you've got to go all in and have the best, you know, most technical and complex strategy and all the knowledge in the world. We see this in business as well. You know, it's people, the business owners who get bogged down with all like this complex funnel strategy or that strategy, or, you know, I have to have this 10 million page funnel that's complex and all these automations going off. When you start going down that rabbit hole, the ones that do really well are the ones that just strip it all back and go, do you know what? I'm solving one problem and I'm going to sell that, and that's it. And we just sell it and we do this quick, simple thing. And they're the ones that do so well. But here's where I think the problem is. When you surround yourself with trading, talking about trading becomes a little bit more normal. And when it becomes normal, you start to see that trader that's a little bit more developed, and that trader's a little bit more advanced, and that trader's a bit more advanced, and it becomes the norm. And you think that if you're not doing this and more, you're not going to keep up. But actually, you don't need to. That's the beauty of it. You don't actually need to do all that stuff. You just need to build a people system and work on refining that. You know, and again, same goes for business. If you're in business networks, it becomes normal to be, I don't know, a published author or a six-figure business owner, and you start to think that all these things are normal and you need to be ahead of them. But actually, you don't. You know, you are doing very well as you are. So, I wanted to add that as an approach to learning price action and reading price, because a lot of people think that you have to have much more knowledge than you actually do have to have. It's trading is just literally pattern recognition and then your ability to execute a profitable set of rules that capture those patterns, those moves. So that's my spin. What do you guys think in the chat? A lot of sideways action lately, says Bartoni. Yep. Hi, Gas 2. Bobby's here. Chris is here. Hello. So I guess the question is then, how do you approach reading price? If you wanted to strip back and forget everything you've learned because you've got a bit of overwhelm, and you want to just go back to basics, and you just want to kind of, you know, the Men in Black type thing where they just go and like erase your memory. Like, where do you start after that? How do you approach it?
Well, I would do this, and this is, well, I've never actually done this, but I've heard this from a few great traders, that this is the best way to truly get a grasp of understanding price. And I guess you don't have to do it now because we have a lot more technology than they did back then. But I remember, I think it was Peter Brand. I'm not sure if it was Brett Steenbarger or Mike Belfiore. One of them said this as well. But the best way that they learned price, maybe Adam Grimes, is they used a old school sheet of graph paper. And they used to check the newspaper, right? Newspapers are like the paper written things that, you know, for you guys that are younger, check the newspapers. And they used to just check the open, high, close, and low of the day. And they would literally draw it on their draft paper. They would draw a line for the open, they draw a line for the close, a line for the high, a line for the low. And they would manually build out a candle themselves. And they said that was the best technique they ever got to really understanding what price action was, because it forced them to kind of make that connection between this is what the numbers are telling me and this is what it actually looked like in the market. I don't think we need to do that now. I feel like that would take an extremely long period of time. But I think going back to understanding the basics of a candlestick, meaning what does it look like? What does it mean? Making that relationship not just between like, hey, this is a red candle or a green candle or a black candle or a white candle, but hey, this is a candle that, meant price action, rallied all the way up to this level, but then it closed down here. So that means that the bulls really pushed it up, but then they couldn't maintain control when it closed lower. And I think when you can understand just what a candlestick looks like and what it means from a very simple basis, like a single individual candlestick, then it makes it easier to put those combinations together. Because I remember when I first started trading and I got into candlesticks or whatever like that, the first thing I did was I Googled search like candlesticks, and I got like that whole big old chart of like 50 different candlesticks with all these, these names, black dark cloud cover and moon shabu and all this funny stuff. And I put it out on like index cards, like a spell and test. I would quiz myself. And I was pretty good at knowing what each formation was called. However, the thing that I didn't know is I had no idea what it meant. Right. So it's not all about just mastering, hey, I know this thing, but truly understand. And once you truly understand it, you'll realize that there may be a 1,000 different candlestick patterns out there, a handful of combinations that really matter, or many of them kind of fall into the same category of this means strength, this means weakness, this means reversal, this means continuation. And if you can learn that one candlestick at a time, it's going to make it a lot easier to eventually learn those classic price action patterns that you.
Yeah, absolutely. Bobby says, I found that at the start of the learning process, everything seemed difficult and complicated. Now it almost seems too simple. It's funny because what you just said, Akil, I want to say that's definitely something that Adam Grimes would do, but I have a feeling it was Peter Brandt because I think I remember him saying that. But
I think Peter Brandt was trading before computers existed.
Yeah, exactly. but Adam Grimes is he's so meticulous about like his approach. That is definitely something he'd do. And speaking to Adam Grimes, what Bobby just said, funnily enough, I had this exact conversation with Adam Grimes. We were in New York and he was talking about how he went on this big chase for strategy after strategy and making it complex and, really looking into algorithms and all the rest of it. And then he literally cut it all off and went back to trading the first strategy, which was breakout and retest of flag patterns. And that was it. He realized himself that actually it's just something must have resonated with me in the first place with flag patterns, which is why I checked them out first. So I'm just going to go and stick to that because I understand it and I'm going to build off of that. And then, wild success. So there's a lot to be said for that. Bartoni...
To put it in perspective, like grads were the most brilliant minds out there. Yeah. So for someone that brilliant, that educated, be like, I've gone on these deep dives and like Jason said, like his deep dives are like, they're greater than any deep dives I've ever seen. Like I've never seen that much data collection.
They are. No.
For him to go back and be like, the simple thing worked in the first place. That's the proof.
Yeah, he's the type of guy that could work for like Bridgewater or something, like Ray Dalio type of analysis. The guy's a classically trained musician, a pianist, and he's also a classically trained chef, a Michelin star chef. So he's definitely a great mind. Bartoni says, don't trade from a tablet or phone is one of my rules. Reading charts on a full size or large size screen is clearer. 100% agree with that. One problem with a mobile or a tablet is the chart isn't very static. You can move the tablet, you can move the thing, and price goes all over the place, and it's very difficult to use your crosshair, and it's just a little bit more kind of, I don't know, it's more UI driven rather than actual data driven. I feel whenever I've looked at these things, it doesn't feel like it does on a static chart on my computer. So I would 100% agree with you there. And we always say, look, if you're trading professionally, you want to be at least trading from a computer rather than a phone or a tablet anyway, right? Just like anything else, the basics are essential. Yeah, that's really what this is about, this talk. So in terms of like the technicals, the basics, what are the basics? The basics are, first of all, learning candlesticks, learning what a bar is, an open, high, low, close, which we've been over many times before. And you can go and check out all of our free training on that at tier1trading.com. And then support and resistance, I would say. Akil, would you?
Yeah. I think once you learn the basics of a individual candlestick, then you can move on to candlestick combinations. And candlestick combinations bring you into reading trends, the up and down movement of the market. And then naturally, the up and down movement of the market, those pivots, those create levels of structure, which are the key levels that we want to look for. So it all starts with the baby steps of working your way up. And it gets me upset when I see people that kind of don't understand one thing, but never took the do the things that lead up to that one thing. And you try to explain to them where it's like, hey, it's going to be hard to grasp this concept and master that concept. No, I just want to go here. And that's the whole shortcut mentality that gets so many traders in trouble. And I mean, again, just learn the basics, man. Like anything in life, like start at the basics and build that foundation, and then you can build anything on top of that. But when your foundation is unsturdy, it's going to topple and fall. You're going to make mistakes. You have to go back and do it anyway. And now you're just wasting time.
Yeah. Cool. So in terms of, I guess, what some of the kind of, if you're not reading price properly, understand price, what are some of the ramifications later on? Well, I know that one is if you don't learn these basics, we've had many traders who skip and don't understand, simple concepts of reading price, and then they rush ahead and they get this kind of Dunnings-Kruger where they think they know more than they do, and they're mouthy inside the community. So they make themselves known that they're ahead, and then they're too embarrassed when they've got a simple question, and then that stops them going live professionally because, they don't know what they're doing. And they can't now ask the community, and they can't now ask people because they're embarrassed that they've told everyone that they're too far ahead, which is why I always say, be honest, be vulnerable, just be transparent, like let everyone know where you're at. You can only get better if you're transparent, if you're vulnerable, if you lay your cards on the table and ask for help and just be the idiot. Like, be the idiot.
Yes.
Don't be the person that's trying to be something they're not too quickly. You will be stuck whilst all the actual idiots overtake you eventually because they've been humble enough to ask a question and say, actually, I don't understand this. Can you explain it again? We've seen that so many times, and it's so tragic. I've seen so many people go live and then they kind of struggling to understand. Like, oh, come on. Like, what are you doing? Don't go live yet. No rush. So it really will hinder you. And then aside from that, if you don't know how to read price, you're gonna have a lucky edge and not a consistently profitable edge. I don't know what you think, Akil. If there's any other damaging parts to not grasping this stuff.
No, I think it's like you said. You eventually will have to go back if you're open enough and humble enough to do so. Like I said, many traders, and it's unfortunate, we see that their ego gets to a place where they're in this status and they've kind of dug themselves into such a deep hole with the lies and the status boosting that they don't actually get it, but now they don't want to admit that they can't. It's like when you do something bad and you get in trouble, and it's like the best thing to do is like just tell your parents, like, hey man, like I messed up. When you start creating lies and lies and lies, like it just makes the problem worse, and then you can never go back to what the truth is, and you see people fail because of that. Yeah. But I think it starts with just, we always say take your time. Like you should not be in any rush. You want to dedicate, a year, 2 years, somewhere in that area to becoming a successful trader. And I think when you can grasp the idea that it's going to take time, then it limits kind of the rush, right? If you know you're giving yourself 2 years, or let's just say a year, now you can say like, hey, I'm going to make sure I dedicate 3 months to price, and I'm going to dedicate 3 months to strategy development, and I'm going to dedicate 3 months to back testing, then 3 months to demo trading, and then boom, I hope that's enough money. I don't know, I think it is, but then I'll be ready to trade live. And you'll see how easy it makes it. And kind of following up on the Adam Grimes thing you spoke about, I took kind of an opposite approach in my trading, where I was like many others, went to learn strategy. After I got successful, a handful of price action strategies, I was making money, and kind of that need and urgency was over. I kind of got back into the education game, where it's like, hey, I just want to learn about the markets, and I went backwards and really invested a lot of time in learning price and classic patterns. And it was funny, like a lot of the things that I tried before failed, like a lot of my ideas were actually started becoming successful, all because like I finally took the time to, educate myself on the things needed to make those strategies successful. I'm not just talking about price action strategies. I'm talking about indicator-based things as well, where I was trying to do stuff with indicators and it never worked. And now that I'm tooled or armed with this knowledge on price action, now I can combine my knowledge of price action, use an indicator to complement that, and boom, now I've got a nice little filter that can be used in a successful strategy. So it's just the trader you are, it's going to be important, whether you're fundamental, whether you're technical using price, whether you're technical using indicators. Like it is helpful no matter what. And I think you have to just time and learn.
Couldn't agree more. And I think everyone in the chat, Chris is saying, I'm speaking from experience, unfortunately. Great point from Rudolph. As traders, we tend to think as soon as we become profitable, we're on a finished product, when really